All right, let's pull back the curtain on the world of Canadian investments. We're going to look at the exact playbook every single financial professional in Canada has to follow. Now, you might be thinking, why do I care about their rules? Well, because understanding their roadmap is probably the most important first step you can take to confidently navigate your own financial future.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First up, we're going to tackle the rules of the game, the foundation for everything. Then, we'll get into the real heart of the profession, what it means to put the client first. After that, we'll open up the investment toolkit, see who's actually managing the money, and finally, we'll bring it all home to see how a really solid, sound recommendation is actually made.
So let's start with those rules. Look, every industry has regulations, right? But when we're talking about your life savings, the rulebook isn't just important, it's everything. This whole system exists for one simple reason: to make sure the market is fair, transparent, and most importantly, worthy of your trust.
So who's the ref in this game? Who's holding the whistle and making sure that all the big institutions and advisors are actually playing by the rules and looking out for your best interests? Let's meet the main players on the field.
You know, it's not just one group, it's more like a coordinated team. You've got these national bodies like OSFI, who keep an eye on the big banks. Then you have industry-specific groups like IROC and the MFDA, who police the investment dealers. And on top of that, you have provincial commissions that protect investors right in their own backyard. And while they all have slightly different jobs, they're all working towards one single shared goal: protecting you, the investor, and making sure everyone has confidence in our financial system.
So those regulations, they form the bedrock. But layered right on top of that is something even more fundamental. It's the ethical core of the profession. This is the guiding principle that is supposed to be behind every single decision an advisor makes. And it all comes down to this three-step process, which is absolutely non-negotiable. The best way to think about it is like a visit to the doctor. Step 1, they have to know your client. That's KYC. They need to understand your financial health, your goals, what keeps you up at night. Step 2, they have to know your product, or KYP. They need to understand the investment inside and out, all the risks and features. Only after doing both of those things can they move to Step 3, figuring out if that specific medicine is truly suitable for you. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a friendly suggestion or a guideline. It's a legal and ethical obligation. Recent reforms called the client-focused reforms have made this crystal clear. An advisor must put your interests ahead of their own, ahead of their company's, ahead of anything else. This right here, this is the bedrock of trust in that entire relationship.
Okay, so we've got the rules, we've got the ethics down pat. Now let's actually open up the toolbox. Professionals use all sorts of things: stocks, bonds, ETFs. But one of the most common tools in that box is the mutual fund. So let's start right there. What are the main types you're likely to see?
This table gives us a really great at-a-glance view. See, on one end of the spectrum, you've got money market funds. Their whole goal is safety, keeping your money secure. But as you move down the list, all the way to equity funds, the goal shifts. It becomes about long-term growth, which, as you'd expect, comes with a higher level of risk. The whole secret is just matching the right tool to the right job. Now, what if you want the benefits of a bunch of different fund types, but you don't want to go out and buy each one yourself? Well, that's where something called a fund of funds comes in. The easiest way to think of it is like a financial bento box. It's one single product that gives you this perfectly curated, diversified meal of different investments. But, and this is important, you have to remember that this convenience can come with a second layer of fees, because you're paying for the management of the main fund and all the little funds it holds inside.
And this image shows you exactly how it works. You buy one single fund of funds, but inside that one wrapper, you might actually hold a bunch of specialized funds. Maybe one for Canadian stocks, another for US stocks, one for bonds, all working together. It's just a simplified way to get diversified fast.
So we've seen the products, but who is actually pulling the levers and pushing the buttons every day? Let's take a peek behind the curtain and meet the strategists who are actually managing the money inside these funds, and we'll look at the main ways they go about doing it.
At the very heart of every single mutual fund is a portfolio manager. You can think of this person as the captain of the ship. They're a highly qualified, registered professional, and their entire job is to pick the right investments, the stocks, the bonds, whatever, to help that fund achieve its stated goal, while trying to manage all the risk along the way. Now, these managers usually follow one of two big strategies. On one side, you have active management. These managers are trying to be superstars. They're trying to beat the market by handpicking what they think are the absolute best investments. On the other side, you have passive management. These managers aren't trying to be heroes. Their only goal is to match the performance of a market index, like the S&P or TSX. And this right here is one of the biggest debates in investing. Is it worth paying the higher fees for an active manager when so many low-cost passive ETFs often do just as well, if not better? And even within that active management world, you've got two totally opposite ways of thinking. Top-down investors start with the big picture. They look at the global economy, try to find a hot country or a promising industry, and then drill down from there. Bottom-up investors, they do the exact opposite. They ignore the big picture at first and just focus on finding amazing individual companies because they believe a great company can succeed no matter what the economy is doing.
All right, this is where the rubber meets the road. Let's see how a true professional takes all of these different pieces, the rules, the ethics, the products, the strategies, and puts them all together to make one final, suitable recommendation for a client like you. You know, a good recommendation really is a delicate balancing act. On one side of the scale, you've got your entire life, your goals, your time horizon, your fears, your financial situation. On the other side, you have this whole universe of investments. The advisor's real job is to find that perfect point of equilibrium between the two, thinking about everything from costs to risk and running it all through one final filter. Does this decision truly, honestly, put my client's interest first?
So there you have it. We've just walked through the professional's entire roadmap, from the rules of the game right down to that final recommendation. And by understanding the framework that they have to operate in, you're not just a passenger on your own financial journey anymore. You're an informed co-pilot ready to ask all the right questions.